Hello. First, first. Because I'm really proud of these. Gonna get into the nails. This one is my favorite. Oh, this camera, bro. Anyways. A little it's kind of like when I used to do my hair. I don't stick to one thing regardless. But I got this like blooming gel, which helps you make like these kinds of like designs and stuff. This one is still my favorite. Look at that. Look at it. Ah. But yes. The topic today. Right? The topic today. Let me move these. I feel like we could use those. And that one. But maybe those ones, maybe not. We'll see. The topic today is water. No, I'm joking. They're connected though. One. The topic today is the divine feminine. So fruit. And water. Tea. I'm just gonna leave it open because that noise is kind of annoying sometimes. And I don't know how it sounds like over there. But I can imagine if you got headphones on, it's loud. So yeah. It's interesting because I like the idea that's gonna make noises now. Oh, well, I'm peeling a pomegranate, so that's happening regardless. It's part of it's part of the story. It's part of the message. Because it was like, I've been waiting to eat this. I wanted to eat this yesterday, and I fell asleep until the morning. And they're like, "Wake up! You can eat your pomegranate now." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Two. So yeah. I have to put those. I should write that down so I remember the numbers that was in there. Any other ones I see, I'll also write down. But yeah, so I feel like I want y'all to be able to see what I'm doing if it's gonna make that much noise. But I feel like this is really high up from the like. Yeah, never mind. You're just gonna hear it. ASMR. Pomegranate peeling. Oh, I like the alliteration in that. But yeah, this message was coming out as like a story time of like certain things that I needed to share, and I don't want to, but I'm gonna, cause they told me to. But there's just a lot of fear surrounded by vulnerability, especially in such like a blank space. Like this is like everywhere, you know, like YouTube, the internet is everywhere. There's already, that was a little skin in there, but that's okay. There's already like fear of sharing, you know, like just with people you know, and so to share something that's so private and so like potent emotionally to the whole world is scary. And like, I mean, I know how many people view my things now. I know it's not the whole world watching, but it's like the capacity of the whole world being able to watch, right? And also just having that message of knowing where this is going and like where my consistency is leading me is just all nerve-wracking. Just a little bit. But with the divine feminine, I have a lot of like, I could talk about this forever. But there was one specific message that wanted to come through, and it's interesting because there's a lot of like, oh, like the feminine has been in their masculine and the masculine has been whatever, like all of this, like wounded masculines and wounded feminines kind of over doing their parts and not officially. And this is like not gendered at all. This is like energy based. And like speaking on that specifically, just as a disclaimer, the reason why I identify as non-binary or like two-spirited would be because it is recognizing the duality of energies within, right? The masculine and the feminine. I think that in my own experience of life, I cannot deny my masculine energy. That is not something that can be denied in who I am, how I operate in the world, and how I show up, right? So that's just something that has been very prominent. So this is not at all a gendered message. If you feel like this is talking to your divine feminine, then that's it. And I'm not even talking about, you know, if you feel like you are, you know, if you lean more feminine or masculine, whatever. This is just about the energy and how it calls to you currently. So if this is a message that your divine feminine needs, then here you go. I haven't talked to my mother in a few years now. And there's been a lot of grief with that. There's been a lot of peace with that as well. When someone brings a lot of chaos into your life, and you know, no ill will towards that person, obviously. Like, I wish her well and I send her love, but there are certain things I couldn't entertain in my own life. And that was really hard. So in that, it's been really strange because there are other feminine characters in my family and stuff who have fell away, and some who have become more prominent in that transitional period, you know. And that has been an interesting show, I should say. It's not necessarily like it's a show, but it's entertaining, right? And my message is just to reflect maybe some things that are reminiscent in your life and in your spirit. This is not me prescribing that you should cut off your mom if it's more peaceful for you. This is not me prescribing anything, honestly. This is just what I was told I need to share. And again, reluctantly. So like I can tell in my energy, my words are kind of like coveted, and like that's something that I've felt a lot recently. Like it's just really hard. And it's weird to live authentically. That's something like that I have no choice of doing now. I can't really swallow myself anymore, and I had to do that a lot when I was around her. And so I think that in a way they fell. I think that in a way me having space from her has been a catalyst for that. So there is absolutely no way I can deny myself now, and that's because the limited spaces that I'm in that feel like they're denying my reality to me. And I think in general, our family brings that up for us, right? Like, your family is the first people who indoctrinate you into this world and teach you how to survive this world, right? And they teach you from their understanding of surviving and their emotional resonance of how these things operate for them. And that doesn't always translate to you, right? And you're rewarded for learning to speak like their language, but they're not rewarded for learning to understand you, right? And so you can't be doing this with dry lips. There we go. This is like the only resort that lives here. Got a little too much, but that's okay. Yeah, so it's just it's an interesting reckoning to go through, right? And we all have that in one way or another. I think that's something that's really helping with like radical empathy, is understanding that everyone feels like an outcast in some way, right? Everyone feels ostracized in some way, and maybe not all the time, right? But everyone knows what it feels like for that. Um, and so having more compassion for people in that way. And this was the main message that needed to be shown, which is interesting. So maybe that's something, maybe this is being shown within your life. It was something that was recently shown to me, like I experienced it, and so that was really interesting. But there's a lot about talking about people, right? In the spiritual space, right? There's a lot about talking about people, and there will be this like, oh, you need to whatever, like there's people watching you, and they're like trying to take your gifts or whatever, like, you know, like there's certain things like that, right? And like, I'm not saying that people don't operate like that, but that in itself is almost like a certain type of fear mongering that propaganda does, right? And so it's like reminiscent of that in the way that the messages are being told, right? And nothing towards readers who are like that. I've even done, like, I understand that, and sometimes that is the message that you need to hear, because you need to understand how the energies are operating around you. But if we're really going to take that into account, right, how the energies are operating around you, it's not this person, right? It's not this person who's specifically doing that. It's not your mama, it's not your brother or sister, whatever. It's not your friend, it's not your boyfriend, it's not your any of that. Like, it's a spirit working through them. And so to be able to forgive the person, you need to acknowledge that without, again, still like having accountability for what they have done. But there's a difference between like holding a person accountable and being able to forgive them for yourself, right? Like, those are two different lanes you can take. One might lead to the other, and who knows? But, you know, it's just, and vice versa, actually. I feel like forgiveness and accountability can both lead to each other depending on how it's understood. But yeah, and so I'm like thinking if this was just like one, I used to eat pomegranates with my mom, so, and I like really wanted a pomegranate, and then like the second store that I went to randomly just had them, so I was like, okay, I'll get a pomegranate. I was only in there to get whipped cream. I got a pomegranate, but that's okay. And passion. I got eggs too, because they were a little bit cheaper there. But yeah, so I think part of this was also so that I could just have like something to do with my hands to help me idle and feel more grounded while doing this. Like, it's giving me a physical purpose while I'm explaining this, so I can be in tune with that part of my body, like my hands. So this is my fidget. We're actually doing pretty good, look. And I got this section and one more section that looks like that in this, so we did pretty good. But yeah, so where was I lost the plot a little bit, and I think that's because maybe I was going a little too, I was over explaining a little bit. But okay, so yeah, accountability and forgiveness, right? I think for forgiveness for yourself, right, this is the message that was given to me, and I didn't necessarily want to take it, but I was like, okay, because it is helpful in being able to release the resentment towards somebody. Is like when you have those like, oh, this person blah 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 blah, like the gossipy kind of thing coming after you in that way, when you get those messages, it's not necessarily always the person, right? And that was like mind-blowing to me. That was like too much, and I was like, but you know, like, because she did, and then here's the laundry list of every motherfucking thing, you know. Yes, I eat the skin, don't question me, bro. But yeah, and so the message was that it's the spirit right? And not necessarily their spirit, but the spirit moving through them, the spirit actualizing through them and using them as a vessel to be able to do this, right? And some people are more susceptible than others. Some people call that in and they don't really know what they're calling in. There's plenty of different ways that can work, right? But that was the message, was that it's not the person necessarily who is like trying to come after you. It's the spirit. And again, this is not to absolve anybody of accountability in their whatever they've done, but it's to help you forgive them, right? And also to understand that it's like, if that spirit was there and it was using them, right, for lessons that you needed to learn, it's like to be thankful for what you've learned, right? Maybe not necessarily the pain. You don't have to go that far. That's kind of a lot. That sounds a little gaslighty to me personally, but you know, I think maybe in hindsight it will be so much more worth it, so much more potent, and so beautiful to look back on. And yeah, and so it's really interesting because I've had these like really, really potent moments recently where I've just been like little me inside is like, I miss my mommy. And like big me is like, okay, but it's never gonna be like that again. Like the version of her that you know, I don't know her, so I don't know who you're talking about, but you know. But it's like that like motherly comfort is something that I'm like really yearning for. And not necessarily every day, but it's also like feminine comfort in general. I keep talking to my dad wishing he was a woman. I like knew at least how women operated enough to have that type of comfort, right? And that's not his job, right? And I understand that, but I don't necessarily want to accept that, right? Because I want the parent that is around for me, that I do have a relationship with, to be able to comfort me. And he is like, we not have that. The little meme. Anyways, yeah. So that's kind of what it feels like. And so it's really interesting because like as I'm like interacting with community, and creating these like wonderful, lovely friendships, I'm getting all this bountiful, beautiful women. And a fruity. Here, you can see better this way. There we go. But yes. No. And just not me throwing fruit at myself. These two most recent moments. I showed up to an event that was supposed to be like an activator in, and like when I showed up, I just kind of I parked and I was like kind of confused because I know I get anxious about parallel parking, and this was the third spot that I tried to get into. I have a new car, so like the space, I don't know how big it is. And so like I knew all of these about myself, right? But I was like, okay, I know you're not a morning person. I know parallel parking gets you stressed out, but I'm like, but this is not like the way you're acting right now. There's obviously something deeper. So what's going on right now? Like what's wrong, right? And I asked that question because I was like, oh, I wanna move on. So like, what's wrong? So I can keep going, right? Like, let's hold space for this so that we know. And it was that little version of me that was just like, I miss my mommy. And then I just started bawling my eyes out. And I tried so hard. And it's mad funny because like I texted my friend, right? And it was interesting because he like didn't see it, right? I tried to call him, didn't see it, whatever, right? And so I was like, can you like walk me to the place? Because I just like, I kept trying to collect myself, and I was like, I don't want to be brave, right? I don't want to be brave. I was like, oh, I'm so sick and tired of being brave and doing everything by myself. I want support. And again, I tried to ask a man to do this, right? Which also like gender non-conforming, but that's not the point. It's like I was asking more like masculine energy to show up for me in like a feminine capacity. And we all have both of those energies, but we're not all trained in how to operate in them, right? And so it's like just hitting me over the head with that lesson of like, stop asking men to come for you. When this is obviously not like, this problem specifically is not for that. I was like, oh, okay. I just was like, okay, you're gonna cry, just keep crying until you found like a natural pause, right? Like a stop where like the decline, right? And so I just cried and I cried and I cried. I was at this point, I'm like 20 minutes late. Which I was gonna be early, bro. I was gonna be early by like maybe like 5 minutes, and that's not really heard of for me, usually. So I was like, I was gonna be early, and now I'm right on time for how I usually show up places. 20 minutes late. That almost went to the back of my throat, but it didn't. But yeah, and I just felt really like blue and sad, right? And the thing is that I like walk into the space and there's this one woman and she asked me, she's like, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm okay. And she's like, do you want a hug? And I just started crying in her arms because one, how'd she know I needed a hug? Two, you know, like yeah. And so then like everything I took, right? I need like a thing. Okay. I don't have. Okay. We're gonna use the Vaseline for right now. But so I took everything I could and I stuffed it in here, right? I was like, this is all the sad. We got out all the sad. This is the rest of the sad. Let's just put a little bow on it and close it, right? And she goes, do you want a hug? And I just, like that was, and I know how to cry quietly because I don't like to call attention to myself. And that's like a whole other thing that we need to unpack personally. But so that's what happened. It was really beautiful to be like held. And it was interesting because like that same friend who was in the space, it was like he was like the fourth person who came up to me. It was all the women first who like came and tended to me, and like that was just such a lovely opportunity. I don't necessarily like the sadness part, but like just to feel held by those who are around you, especially when you're like in like, I don't know, in community spaces and like doing like businessy things, like I don't like hosting events and stuff. It's like to actually be held by the people that you're like also working with is just really lovely in experience. Yeah. So there was that. And then most recently, I went to my friend's album release party. Ashanti Eva Davenport. I wanted more than these, but that's okay. I can grab more. The conundrum was like, I want more than this, and it's like you have the whole thing. Eat one, then. But yeah, so I went to her album release party, and she sang like a whole song to her mom, and I was trying not to cry the whole time. The album is about her dad dying. I was trying not to cry the whole time, and then that part, it got me. I was like, man down, right? And I just bawled, and my friend was sitting next to me, and she just held me, and then someone else was sitting in front, and she just gave like a hand. 24, so I'll write that one down. She just like held my hand, and again, it's like the feminine support when I miss my mom specifically has just been immaculate. And yeah, there's like the scary aspect of being vulnerable. 2444. But that also means 244. That also means that you can be cared for. Like you can be held, and it's not always gonna be as scary as it used to be, right? And there are people around you that can help out. It can actually be there for you, and like that's just really beautiful. This is really beautiful. Yeah, yeah. It's just a lot. It's just a lot to process. And yeah, I'm just looking around at the blessings in our lives and like the pain also like can help create those blessings, ironically, you know, because we're over here trying so hard to do so many things when, you know, like you got people who just fall into your lap and will hold you and make sure that you're okay. And I mean, they don't expect to have all the answers, and you don't expect them to, but they have enough presence with you in that moment to just let you know that it's okay to not be okay. This is pomegranate juice on my neck. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that might be more of it actually too, which is kind of funny. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. Oh, you know what? Never mind. If there's pomegranate juice on my neck, that's fine. Yeah. That was the little message. I wanted to pull one card. And so at the bottom of the deck, it says red, forgive. Right? Okay. I don't know what those are. I might have to look up the plant. But that looks like, this one specifically looks like a pomegranate. So that's just kind of crazy. I also got the message in the shower that I should talk about this. So that's, boom. I love when spirit does that. This was the first one that I saw that I was like, yeah, it's a tree, let them go. And so it's letting go of that resentment allows you to forgive, and vice versa. Forgiving allows you to let go of that resentment. They're like simultaneous. And these ones, here, we'll do one at a time. There's this one. It says, weave together the crown you deserve. Right? And then this one, feast. Slow down and celebrate yourself. Yeah. And the numbers 10, 18, 14, and 29. Yeah. Those could be ages to look back on. I know 14 was a lot for me, personally. 18, yeah. But I don't know. It's all in due time. You know, the messages will come to you. 29, and this card was 29, so 29 is very prominent. And it's interesting, right? We were talking about hindsight. And it's like, what if in hindsight, like, today is, I am 23 today. So, I mean, this message not might be for only people who are under 29, but right? Like looking forward, maybe 29 years in the future. It's a random number to try and. Hey, what? I'm so confused. Okay, give me a second. My fridge was trying to make ice when I don't have it hooked up to water. I guess I'm not usually home for when it does that. That just confused me. But yeah, just knowing looking back on how things used to be and being proud of yourself for how far you've come. And celebrating that. Yeah. It's just a lot. I think that's the end of the message. I don't really have any words left. I want to keep talking, but I don't have any words left, which is funny because I came from that energy of like, I don't want to. So it's like just taking that leap of like trying might make you actually be less scared in that vulnerability. If you made it this far, comment like a little clover. Clover. I don't know why I stuck my thing out, but yeah. And my challenge to you is to choose someone that you need to actively forgive. Is it you? That was the real tea. Also the seed, the pomegranate seed tried to fall off my mouth, but that was a real tea. Right? Choose someone that you need to forgive. And just try and see. I don't know if anyone watched Big Mouth, but they were like talking about empathy and compassion, and then they put on these goggles. Not actually, but she helps them. She was like, but really look at them. And then they were able to see their hormone monsters and what they were going through, and their fears and insecurities and their anxiety and shame and all of that. Like talking to them. 3, 3, 3, 3. So thinking of it as like, can you see the spirits that were working over them? And can you forgive them for being able to be a vessel for that message, no matter how hurtful it was? Can you forgive them for that? Okay, that's it.